Okay, so imagine a recipe book, right? But this book is so incredibly detailed, it has the complete instructions to build, every single part of you. We're talking everything, from the color of your eyes to the way your heart beats. For decades, scientists knew this book had to exist somewhere inside our cells, but they had no clue what it looked like. They were searching for the master key to life itself.
And that leads to the big question, the one that was driving all this research. How does a living thing pass on its blueprint, its own personal instruction manual, from one generation to the next? It was honestly one of the greatest mysteries in all of science.
So everyone agreed there was a recipe book, but the consensus, what most scientists believed, was that complex proteins must be the ones carrying all this information. DNA, on the other hand, seemed, almost insultingly simple. Just a few parts repeating over and over. How could that possibly hold the blueprint for all of life? But one young scientist had a hunch that maybe, just maybe, everyone was looking in the completely wrong place. And that's where our story really kicks off. It all starts with this powerful idea, this big hunch, from a young American biologist named James Watson. Now, this belief was pretty audacious at the time. I mean, think about it. While everyone else was deep in chemistry, Watson was obsessed with geometry. He was totally convinced that if you could just see the shape of the molecule, you'd understand everything. He didn't want to just run experiments for years. He wanted to solve the entire puzzle in one brilliant flash of insight, just by figuring out its structure.
Watson's quest to find the shape of DNA eventually took him to Cambridge in 1951, and it was there that he met the guy who would become his partner in crime in this whole scientific race, Francis Crick.
On paper, they were a total odd couple. You had a young bird-watching biologist and a British physicist studying proteins. But what they shared was this revolutionary approach. While other labs were painstakingly analyzing chemicals, Watson and Crick were basically playing with a high-tech erector set. Seriously, they were building models out of wire and metal plates, trying to physically piece together the shape of DNA like it was some kind of giant 3D jigsaw puzzle. But here's the thing, you can't solve a puzzle if you're missing the most important piece. And their models, they just kept failing. The answer they so desperately needed wasn't in their lab at all. Turns out, it was in the hands of a rival team. That crucial clue was being uncovered, piece by painstaking piece, at King's College. And it was all thanks to a brilliant scientist named Rosalind Franklin. She was working with her colleague Maurice Wilkins, using this powerful and incredibly difficult technique to basically take a photograph of DNA's shadow. Franklin was an absolute master of this technique. It involved shooting a beam of X-rays at these tiny DNA fibers and then capturing the pattern they made as they scattered. It's a ridiculously hard process, but if you get it right, it produces a shadow, a faint picture of the molecule's atomic structure. And in one of her images, the one that would become legendary, known as Photo 51, she captured the most important clue of all. So the big question is, what did it actually show? And there it was, a stark black X on the film. Now, to a trained eye, that X was practically shouting one thing and one thing only. The molecule was a helix. It was a spiral. When James Watson saw this photo, he knew, instantly, what it meant. This was the aha moment, the puzzle piece they had been missing. The basic shape was no longer a mystery. With this new piece of information, the race was on. Watson and Crick rushed back to their models in Cambridge, but this time, they were armed with the absolute certainty that they were building a spiral. Okay, so here's how all the pieces just suddenly snapped into place. Photo 51 confirmed the helix shape. Check. Their model building then quickly showed it wasn't one strand, but two. A double helix. Check. They already knew the rungs connecting the two strands were made of these chemical bases. The final stroke of genius was figuring out the very specific way they had to pair up. And this was the secret sauce. The pairing wasn't random at all. It was precise, it was predictable. Adenine, which we call A, always pairs with thymine or T. And cytosine, C, always pairs with guanine, G. No exceptions. This perfect, specific fit was the chemical glue holding the entire ladder together. And all of a sudden, this wasn't just a shape anymore. It was a language. It was a code. So why does this matter so much? I mean, who cares about the shape of a molecule, right? Well, because in discovering this structure, Watson and Crick had accidentally stumbled upon the secret of life itself. Here's the truly beautiful part. Because A always pairs with T, and C always pairs with G, the two strands are perfect mirror images of each other. This means the molecule can literally unzip right down the middle, and each half can then act as a flawless template to build a brand new partner. It's life's own personal copy machine, and for the very first time, it explained exactly how our biological instructions are passed on.
That discovery back in 1953 changed, well, everything. It paved the way for the Human Genome Project, for using DNA fingerprinting to solve crimes, for life-saving biotechnology that lets us create medicines like insulin from scratch. It basically kicked off the information age of biology, where we finally started to understand life as a code that could be read.
James Watson and his colleagues, they opened a door that can never be closed again. They taught us how to read the book of life. The question that really defines our era, and the one I'm going to leave you with, is this: what happens next now that we are learning how to write in it?